I very rarely make desserts, and I wanted to make a dessert today because I haven't done one in a while, and one that I think would just be so fantastic for the holiday season. So the dessert I thought I'd feature today is a classic French dessert called Bouch Noir, and that is a literal translation of bouche, mouth, and noir, black mouth. And what it is it's a chocolate torte, not a tart, T-A-R-T, a torte, T-O-R-T-E, which is a flourless chocolate cake. And this is a dessert I've been running on our Latil's menu the last month or so, and I like it for several reasons. It's a great rich dessert. I love chocolate. It's a chocolate bourbon. It's got some bourbon in it, lots of great flavor. Also, it's a flourless chocolate cake, so we have a lot of guests here and a lot of friends out there who are gluten-free. So this is, so many desserts have gluten in them. This is a great gluten-free dessert if that's something that you consider or would be good for you. So I wanted to go ahead and get started, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. I went ahead and got some chocolate melting, but this is just some shaved bittersweet chocolate. I'm gonna add a little bit more and just finish melting that. And yeah, I just love this dessert, and what's great about it too, it is very rich, so you just serve a little slice, and it winds up being just the perfect amount, and it's a great way to end a meal. And let me show you what I got going on here. We're melting this in a stainless steel bowl over a double broiler, meaning I got a pot here, and I just have enough, look, I hardly have any water in here. I just have enough water to where it's making some steam, which is melting the chocolate on here. Now, you don't want the water so high, when you put the bowl into the bowl should never touch that water. You only need enough water to create steam, which is going to be distributed over the bowl and melt all the chocolate in here. So I got it turned up to about a medium heat, make some steam, and the chocolate will start to melt. Now, if you're at home, I don't do this often, so I know you can take and just microwave the chocolate, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Put it in a microwave-safe bowl, microwave it for a little bit, stir it, microwave it for a little bit, and stir it. Same effect. We're just melting the chocolate. Now we're going to add just a couple ingredients to here. We're going to add some butter. Now, I know this might look a lot, but we're making a big cake here. And look, this is dessert, y'all. So, don't be putting in the comments that this ain't healthy. I know it's not healthy. It's a dessert. So we're going to start melting some butter. And I have a cup and a half of sugar. So chocolate, butter, sugar going into the bowl. And we're just going to start to mix all this around. The heat from here and that hot chocolate is going to start to melt the butter and the sugar, and that's all going to mix together. And what's great about cooking in this double broiler is it's real gentle. So it just kind of goes, and the heat from there, it's not too hot. If the chocolate was too hot and you add that butter to it, you do risk the chance of it separating. But just cooking it like this, right when that chocolate melts, it's the perfect temperature to just mix that butter in. And let me just kind of show it up to the camera. It's starting to melt through. Again, like always, guys, as you're watching this, if you like what we're doing here, hit that share button. It helps us so much getting the video out. And of course, if you got any questions, if you happen to be watching this live, leave a comment. Jessie's behind the camera, and she'll stop me, and we'll love to answer them. But also, I'm looking at these videos throughout the week, and all the comments. We love interacting with everybody every week. We see a lot of the people saying every week, and we just love it. So I'm watching it, and if you have a question, I'm happy to respond to it personally on the website. So as that starts to melt, we're going to come over here. Let me show you what I got going on here. I got a bowl with 8 eggs in here. I'm going to add to it, I got some bourbon. I'm using Jack Daniels. Any bourbon you have is perfect, but I'm just going to add a half a cup of bourbon to this bowl here. Grab my whisk, and I'm just going to mix this around. Just have this kind of start to come together. And as your butter and sugar get incorporated into your chocolate, you whisk this together, and what we're going to do now is we're going to add this very slowly to this mixture. Now, I want to talk about that just for a second. The reason we're just going to kind of slowly add it in, you don't want to dump it in all at once because this is a little bit warm. If you were to dump it in all at once, you risk having the heat from this chocolate scramble your eggs or curdle them. So, but if you don't have to stress it too much, if you just dump it in nice, slow stream, just like this, and just kind of whisk as you dump in, you're going to be good to go. And this is the basic batter for this recipe. And again, this is going to make this great chocolate cake, and it's a flourless cake. So as you can see, no flour, nothing like that, just eggs, bourbon, sugar, butter, and chocolate. Get that all in there. Get that whisked in well. And now I have a cake pan prepared. I want to show you, I always love showing little tips that's going to make your life easier. And I want to show you one that we got right here. Got a cake pan. Now what I did was I sprayed it and I took some plastic wrap and I covered the inside and kind of pushed it down. Then I come back and then I spray the inside of the plastic wrap. And the reason I do that is because what happens is this cake is going to bake and then it's going to set. And having this plastic is going to help you get this cake out. Whenever we go to unveil it, I'll show you how we do that. But do extra plastic wrap, because what happens is as this bakes in the oven, plastic will shrink from the heat and will kind of actually start to shrink on the sides. So I have a little bit of extra hanging off. Then we're going to come here. Now we're going to dump our batter right into here. Now because I have that plastic wrap on there, let's get this all out the way. I take it and I give it just a couple simple taps, and what that's going to do is smooth out that plastic wrap. And then I put this on the side, and now this is ready to go into an oven. You're going to want to have an oven set to 300 degrees. And what we do is we want to bake this in a water bath. So that means you're going to set this in another pan and put a little water that comes about halfway up to the pan, and then you put it in the oven for about 90 minutes or until the inside, you can stick a toothpick in the middle and it comes out clean. This is one that we have done already. We're going to cut that in a second, but when it comes out, you want to pull it out, let it cool to room temperature, then you want to place it in your refrigerator and let it chill all the way. And all that chocolate is going to re-harden, because if it's come out of the oven, chocolate is loose, but whenever it cools down, it sets a little, and it's going to set into this beautiful cake. I wanted to make one quick thing. I wanted to show a quick sauce that we serve with this at the restaurant, and just how easy. I love these real simple sauces and just how easy it is to come together. So look, there's something you can do at home so quickly. Just went to the grocery store, bought a pint of raspberries. I'm gonna dump them into a blender. Just a couple ingredients here. I got some sugar. That's a half a cup of sugar. A splash of water. This is just so it all kind of blends together. You don't need a whole lot. It'll actually thin down your sauce if you put too much water. And then what I also like to do to this, it just adds a great little flavor to it, is I put just a little squeeze of lemon. So just a little squeeze of lemon in there. Put the cap on. Now we're ready to blitz this. Let's go. Now what I like to do is, this is a very simple raspberry coulis, but I like to puree it really well because there are little seeds that will blend up if you just let it go for a second. Now this is, in its simplest form, a raspberry coulis. Oftentimes, I didn't explain in the beginning, oftentimes people will take the berries, they'll put them in a pot, they'll put some sugar and some water, and then they'll cook them, then they'll come over to the blender. Well, you don't have to do all that. If you do it like this, it makes this really great sauce that's just good to go, and it's nice and fresh. I like that it's not cooked and it tastes almost like a jelly or a jam. Now, once we get to the point, our cake is set. It's come out of the oven and it's set. We have a little bit of raspberry sauce. Let me show you how we put this together at the restaurant. And I'm going to give you some tips of what you can do at home. Let's get us a plate. Now, this is where you're going to be so thankful that earlier you put that plastic wrap on, because it makes you can peel back the plastic wrap and you can kind of have it pop right out. Now it kind of comes out very easily. Because this is chocolate, it sometimes bakes onto the pan. Even if you grease it really well, this just makes it so simple. I like to just flip it on a cutting board. Comes right out, and then I like this, completely up to you, but I like the smooth side. I use the bottom as the top whenever I go to serve it. Now, anytime we're cutting a cake, let me show you what I got going on over here. I have a container with hot water in it, and it's filled up all the way to the top. I got hot water all there, and I've had a knife sitting in here. And because this is all chocolate, that's going to make cutting this really easily. So this is already kind of tempered and hot, and I can go ahead and cut this into wedges. And what I do, because you get a little chocolate on every side, if you want to be fancy and have your cake look pretty, after each slice, I dip and then wipe my blade, and that just gets me these really great clean cuts. If I didn't do that, when I go to cut the next one, some of this chocolate would smear on there, and we don't want that to happen. But once we get to that point, now look how clean that comes out, and look how nice that just bakes up. So now it's just ready to serve. We're going to put that on the plate. And then you're at home, you can come back with that raspberry sauce that we made in literally seconds. And we're going to put some of this raspberry sauce all around. I have over here some whipped cream. Always goes great with it. Now, I like using just heavy cream that you whip by hand just very quickly, and I only add just a tiny bit of powdered sugar to slightly sweeten it. I don't like for my whipped cream to be too sweet, because this is already very rich, so by not having too sweet a cream, it kind of helps act as a foil against some of the richness of that chocolate. I like to save a couple of raspberries and just go ahead, raspberries and chocolate. You can't put it, or you can't beat it. We're gonna put some of these right onto the plate. And then these are just some little garnishes that we do at Houmas house. I'll kind of explain what they are. Oftentimes we bake red velvet cake, and I love doing this around Christmas. And we'll actually take some of that cake, then we'll dry it up, then we'll kind of pulverize it in a food processor. We actually dehydrate the red velvet cake, and it makes this really great red velvet powder, which adds this really interesting and nice textural element that I love just putting right onto the plate. It adds a neat little crunch to it. And then one thing that if you ever come and eat at Latil's, you'll oftentimes see, well, this will almost might have to be a whole video itself that we do, is I like serving candied mint on some of our desserts for a couple of reasons. If you ever go out to a restaurant and they sometimes garnish their desserts with like a whole mint sprig, well, that's great and it looks great on the plate, but you can't eat it. The first thing you do is you take that mint and you flick it right off the plate. Well, with this candied mint, it actually is meant to be eaten, and it kind of crumbles and becomes another element that's part of your dessert. So there you go, guys. We have our Bouch Noir, which is a flourless chocolate cake, very quick raspberry sauce we made together. You can make this ahead of time, and it would be fantastic to serve as a Christmas dessert for the holidays, something that would just be so great. Again, we would love to have you over here at Houmas house. The decorations are up. If you're in by, come and see us. If you're unable to come to us, man, leave us a comment. We wish you a Merry Christmas during this holiday season. We'll see y'all next week. Thank y'all.